So today we need to talk about something that has completely taken over the Genshin Impact community these past few days, and that's the new Hexarai update in version 4. If you've been seeing people suddenly use the word Hexarai, or if you've noticed that characters like Durin, Mona, Albedo, and Klee are being discussed together more than ever, this patch is the reason. And yes, if you're confused about why the word magic suddenly disappeared from new in-game text, don't worry, you're not imagining things. Before we get into everything, a quick note. This video is brought to you by A Figure a Day, your home for premium anime figures and collectibles. Right now, the store is offering up to 40% off on all figures. Discover fan-favorite characters, beautiful sculpts, and new drops every day. Shop now at afigureday.com and level up your collection. So, let's talk about Hexarai. Hoyoverse officially replaced the word magic in new patch text with the German word Hexerei, which basically means witchcraft. This ties directly into the Hexenzirkel, the mysterious witches' coven that includes Alice, Klee's mother and Raindaughter, the alchemist who created both Albedo and Durin. With this change, the game is finally acknowledging that these characters share the same origin system. Their powers aren't just random mystical abilities anymore. They are officially connected through a specific witchcraft tradition that comes from Mondstadt's hidden history. Fans have loved the change. A lot of people are joking that nobody can pronounce Hexarai correctly, but most agree it makes the world feel more cohesive and mysterious. Now, let's talk about gameplay, starting with Durin because he received the biggest mechanical adjustments. His damage has been restructured so that his strongest hits now occur early in his rotation. Instead of evenly distributing all his burst damage across the full duration, most of his power now lands in the opening moments. His passive, Primordial Fusion of Forms, now increases his original damage by 3% for every 100 attack he has up to 10 stacks. At full stacks, that adds up to around 75% extra damage during the early part of his burst. Previously, the passive was just a flat 25% bonus across the entire duration. This shift is a strategic one because most team buffs, like Bennett's attack boost or Mona's Omen effect, only last a short time. Concentrating Durin's damage, where those buffs are actually active, makes his burst feel stronger and more rewarding. However, some reaction-based teams aren't thrilled. If Durin opens a rotation before supports apply their elements, those early hits might not trigger melt or vaporize properly. Depending on the team, it can feel like a small buff or a small nerf, but on paper his total multipliers went up by around 3 to 5%, which most players consider a slight improvement overall. And yes, even with those giant wings, he still cannot fly, which instantly became the biggest meme of the patch. Moving on to Mona, she also received a minor adjustment. Her passive, Genesis of Star Signs, had its Vaporize bonus reduced from 10% to 5%. It's a very small tuning change and doesn't fundamentally alter her role, especially since Durin already brings massive reaction bonuses of his own. Her Omen extension mechanic remains exactly the same, and she still works well with any Hexarai tag characters. Next is Albedo. His kit received a quality of life update that many players have wanted for a long time. His transient blossoms from Solar Isotoma no longer snapshot his defense at the moment he casts the skill. Instead, their damage updates dynamically whenever buffs or debuffs change. For anyone who doesn't know, snapshotting locks in your stats when you cast the skill and ignores all stat changes afterward. Removing snapshotting means Albedo now benefits from buffs as they happen, not just when he places his construct. His Hexarai effects also scale with defense, allowing him to provide small attack or elemental damage bonuses, depending on his build. It's not a dramatic buff, but it makes his scaling feel much smoother in modern teams. Sucrose's adjustments are straightforward. When she creates small or large wind spirits, her new Hexarai passive gives her team a damage increase. Non-Hexarai allies get around a 5 to 7% boost, while Hexarai tagged characters receive a little more. Her 6th constellation was also refined, granting an additional elemental damage bonus during absorbed reactions. She plays the same as before, but her synergy with Hexarai units, especially Venti and Mona, is noticeably cleaner. And then there's Klee, which is easily the most exciting lore update. She is now officially recognized as a Hexarai character, which makes perfect sense considering she's Alice's daughter. Klee now has a new mechanic called Boom Badges. She generates Boom Badges through her normal attacks, her skill, or her burst, stacking up to 3. Each badge empowers her special charged attack, Boom Boom Strike, which can reach around 1.5 times its normal damage at max stacks. Her 6th constellation now gives her team energy every few seconds while her burst is active, as well as providing a 10% pyro damage bonus for everyone except herself. Klee receives an enormous personal bonus of 50% pyro damage. On the downside, her 2nd constellation was slightly adjusted so that her defense shred only triggers when her skill actually deals damage. It no longer works against pyro-immune enemies. But overall, the lore implications completely overshadow that small nerf. Fans love seeing Klee step into the role of a young witch, continuing the legacy of her mother. Razor, Venny, and Fiscal also received text updates, but nothing about their gameplay changed. Their passives now reference Hexarai instead of magic, keeping everything consistent with the new terminology. So that's the full overview of the version 4 Hexarai changes. Durin now hits harder at the start of his burst. Mona received a minor tuning pass. Albedo and Sucrose got smoother scaling and better synergy, and Klee officially entered the world of witchcraft. This update ties a huge part of Mondstadt's lore together and brings renewed interest to characters who have been around since the early chapters of Genshin Impact. Whether you're here for the lore connections, the gameplay tweaks, or the endless jokes about Durin's wings being completely useless, the Hexarai update has given Mondstadt's storylines a fresh spark. If you want more videos breaking down both gameplay mechanics and deeper lore connections, make sure to subscribe. There's a lot more coming as we get closer to the next chapter in Genshin's Witch storyline.